Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Next Goal Wins, directed by Taika Waititi. This movie's been in post-production and has been delayed for like 3 years in a row, I think. Like Jojo Rabbit, this film doesn't seem to take anything too seriously. And also like Jojo Rabbit, it aims at the heart. The film's based on a documentary that is about the American Samoa soccer team, who were famous for never having scored a goal. And this film takes place when a new soccer coach, imported from the United States, joins their team, and maybe, just maybe, he can turn it around and make them not the laughingstock of the world anymore. The explosive and touchy coach is played by Michael Fassbender. I found this movie to be enjoyable. You know, not every joke lands in the movie, but there are a lot of them, and there were enough that I thought were pretty clever. Taika Waititi's signature style is to just be very goofy, and I couldn't help but to enjoy myself. And he even plays with the tone a little bit in a way that I like, where he might set you up to thinking that you're getting a dramatic moment, and then he just kind of derails it with comedy, or vice versa. And that gave the film an element of unpredictability. It's pretty easy to root for this underdog soccer team. It didn't really surprise me with where it went in terms of what the message was or anything like that. This is honestly probably going to be a pretty fleeting movie for me. I don't think I'm going to be chewing on it or anything like that. I think this was successful as a comedy, and it was entertaining. Although by the end I was kind of ready to go. And from a dramatic perspective, I thought the ending had a little bit of a weird framing device, the ending soccer match, which I liked, by the way. The film also focuses on the friendship between the coach and the non-binary Fa'afafine character. Fa'afafine is considered a third gender in American Samoan culture, and even that relationship and exploration therein struck me as a little bit familiar, plain, and not that deeply fleshed out. As far as the other teammates go, I thought they were woefully unexplored. The soccer team kind of plays like a group of little kids, almost like a kicking and screaming film, except these are about adults who are not only dedicated to this game, but are also juggling jobs in a country that is rife with economic strife. I think the film is a little too content with infantilizing the players, and yes, it works for the comedy really well. It's not like they were the only ones who were being joked about. Like, there are jokes about the fact that Michael Fassbender is a white character coming into the American Samoa place, and how white people love to hear platitudes to inspire them, and those jokes were actually really funny. So it is just the tone of the film to make fun of everything. But I can't help shake the feeling that we kind of walk away from this film having a very juvenile portrait of this country that we otherwise know nothing about. I mean, most people are not walking in knowing anything about American Samoa, and they're kind of treated as juveniles, and it leaves a little bit of a weird taste in my mouth. I also think as much as the film makes jokes about the white savior stuff, it doesn't really subvert those tropes either, but not so much in the way of a white savior trope as like the white man learns something positive from these people. Maybe they just have a quality that they possess that Americans don't understand. And while that might be true, I'm sure there's lots of things we can learn from other cultures. It did feel a little bit superficial and basic. I don't know that it felt like he learned something because of their culture, or rather just because the team in general, and he could have learned it on any soccer team. The main character is going to learn something from the people around him, and everybody around him is not white, so he's going to learn something from the not white people no matter what. Well, the whole framing of the film is allowed to be called into question as well, isn't it? The whole framing of the film as from the coach's perspective. I mean, the coach wasn't interesting enough that we can't justify there being some other way to tell the story other than like the guy who's going to come in and, you know, he's looking at this country as an other place. Yeah, but like, is that not also just ripe for comedy, that it's a fish out of water story? And most films about sports teams are from the coach's perspective because that is just kind of the framework for that genre. These are all things you could use to justify it, but like, you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to tell it this way. Yeah, this is the way to tell a soccer story, but I'm really thinking about the end result. Like, what is your perception of American Samoa after this film? Are you thinking about the fact that it's weird that there's an American territory that's sort of under the thumb of the United States' like capital enterprise? Or are you thinking like, oh, that's like a nice island where, yeah, they're like kind of silly. To infantilize a place like that is to embrace the way that the United States wants you to see that place. I think it could have been helped by going deeper into this relationship with Jaya and the coach, because that character came across as pretty intelligent and like sort of deep. However, the beginning of this relationship is sort of based on Thomas being bigoted and then learning to accept, which if that was true would be, I guess, a fine way to go. But apparently that's not really true, and they just kind of added that in so they could give him like this acceptance moment, which is sort of annoying. I think overall the movie is a little clunky on finding the strong focal points. Thomas has a couple moments talking about his family and dealing with like his past. His relationship with Jaya is kind of important, but I feel like they could have made that the heart and soul of the movie, and it didn't quite get there. Dramatically, like the film is surface level, and entertainment-wise, it's fleeting. The comedy was the best aspect to me. It worked really well. Michael Fassbender give a good performance. It's not anything insane, and at worst, it's left a bad taste in my mouth. Some people don't like when you read too much into stuff because it's just supposed to be fun and light. And obviously, like, the movie wasn't in the headspace that I'm in, where it's trying to think about how you're going to perceive these people. But, what I would say to that is, if you live in the US or Europe, you're going to have some stereotype about a place, and it's not going to be correct. And so if you're going to portray that place, you have some sort of duty in knowing that this might be the only piece of media this person sees that concerns this place. Which I agree. I come away from this movie being like, this is a happy little silly land where the people are carefree, and in reality, 50% of them are in poverty. And portraying people as carefree, like, that is a idea that I sort of have about these kind of places. And then when I think about it, I go, wait, why do I see that as, they're carefree, they don't really care? Like, they obviously don't want to be poor. And so, it is actually harmful to be like, that's a carefree place where they're just having a good time. I'm not going to say it was intentionally harmful. I just think it was careless. I'll give this a 5 out of 10. This is not an essential viewing. Yeah, I don't think it's essential either. But if you like Taika Waititi and you like the humor and you like being charmed by like a sports thing, you can put it on. I would give it a 6 out of 10. Oscar prospects, nah. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. How many soccer balls have you kicked into the net?